everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Doom Patrol Season 2, Episode 8. It's called Dad Patrol. So, full spoilers for the episode, as always. I have a fear. I have a fear that there is going to be a third cyborg TV fantasy in the back chunk of the season that we'll now never get, because they had the Stone and Steel, right, and that was funny. It felt like a one-time thing. But then this episode gives us another one. It gives us Bumblebee and Borg, and I thought, there's going to be another one. That's rule of threes. There was going to be a third. There was going to be another one before the end of the season. But now that last chunk just didn't happen, and they're probably going to not do it now, and I'm pissed.
Maybe they'll do it in a third season just because.
Yes. Maybe the idea they had for the last one.
This one was incredibly specific as well. So like Steel and Stone was it was kind of like, okay, generic 70s cop show, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you if it was a specific one, whereas this, I know what show this was.
It was the 60s Avengers thing, right?
Yeah, like almost directly, like so close it was scary.
Yeah. Which is Rita fantasizing about it, obviously, because she's all proud. Her heroics get into the newspaper. Said, honestly, like, the best F-bomb in this episode probably comes from Rita, and maybe it's because Rita doesn't swear as much as the others. She tends to be more reserved.
A refined, proper lady.
But she's like sort of saying how she's a superhero now, and Cyborg starts making fun of her and saying, "Oh yeah, we have to get a car. No, we'll get you a plane, and we'll paint it black and yellow, and we'll call it the Stinger." And Rita just goes, F off. It was such a deadpan delivery from Rita that it really cracked me up.
That was good. I'm quite partial to Clara's one, her what the F, because of Cliff's reaction to it, being like, hey, that's what I say. Oh
yeah, that was not bad. Well, we'll start with Rita and Cyborg then, since we kind of just sort of dipped out of them anyway. So Rita wants to be a superhero. She's determined to be the beekeeper, and Cyborg gets concerned because in the newspaper there's also news of the guy for the corporation that messed with Ronnie turned up dead, and he's like, oh, that's suspicious, and he tries to call Ronnie. She's not answering, so he wants to go see her, and he's like, oh, there's something in Detroit, there's crime afoot, oh, I'll come with, now that I'm a superhero. So they show up to Ronnie's place, and there's FBI. There's okay, something's up. They're looking for her. She's actually a person of interest in this case.
What is it the FBI agent calls them? It was really specific.
I think it was it Pipsqueak Justice League? It was something like that. Maybe? It was very close to that. Pee-wee, yeah. Pee-wee Justice League, that sounds right.
One of those.
Which I always forget that Justice League exists in this world. It's kind of... you kind of forget from time to time.
They didn't have Cyborg making them a regular mainstay thing for us.
Yeah. So Rita's all pissed because Cyborg just runs away when he gets some information. And
she's just wandering around. It's like, you may have heard of me, and they're like, no.
Yeah, you had one story in a local paper. You're in a different city right now, Rita.
Yep.
Slow down. I mean, I believe in you. I'm not like Cyborg. I believe in your... Obviously, you've not quite got to Elastigirl yet as a name, but we'll get there. Yeah. But obviously, I mean, this actually just immediately goes... I think the very next scene is when he goes to see Ronnie at the diner.
It is, yeah. It's actually a fairly short plot, what they have.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I'm not sure why there's no one working at the diner and why the door's open if no one's here. It's kind of there's an odd quality to it, but whatever.
They broke in. I don't know.
But she claims, or she basically admits that she did it, and this is who she is. And she brought what was the juice called?
Uma juice.
Uma juice, yes. She was dying, but now she took the Uma juice, and now she's not dying anymore. Uma juice. Regenerative abilities.
Obviously. What else would you have Uma juice for?
It's funny because the scene develops into them fighting where Cyborg tries to stop her from leaving, and she doesn't just like knock him out of the way. It makes it clear that she has enhanced abilities again. Like she's upgraded, because she knocks him all the way back across the room, sort of super punch style. But then she comes up and starts wailing on him, and it's like, wait, why are you still punching him? Like, if you just wanted past him, you did enough.
And he has to pull out the big arm cannon.
Yeah, it's this kind of standoff moment. It kind of hurts a little bit because like, they had so much chemistry, and I felt bad. I actually felt really bad for Rita because Rita like stands at the door in costume. She's got the beekeeping mask on, and she's like, I will not let you pass. I didn't say it out loud, of course, but that's the gesture.
But then just stands there and lets her walk away.
Yeah, I was like, oh, we're going to get like stretchy versus like, you know, enhanced cyber strength.
I think, honestly, she just realized it wasn't her fight.
Nah, I think that's fair. So, no. I mean, obviously, it's hard not to say the beekeeper and Borg was the highlight of this plot because it was just so entertaining and whatever. But
I did like some of the more dramatic stuff, like, you know, Ronnie being like, you know, this is who I am, this is who I've always been, is so at odds with when she was introduced, being everyone deserves, you know, a second chance or a third chance or whatever. You know, she always, you know, was kind of convinced that, okay, she needed that chance and she was given enough chances that she became better.
I think I would correlate the plot to a drug addict in a lot of ways, mainly because she's even said before that the power when she had it was intoxicating and that she became someone else. And I think it's notable, and we don't really know when she said that yet, but after we've seen her punch Vic and we see like how strong she is now, it's like
she's kind of relapsed.
Yeah, now she has the power, she's became the opposite of what she said before. So I think that's been an analogy for substance abuse or something like that. It was the same in the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer with the magic, as that was treated in a very similar way.
Sure.
That was a fine referencing, you know it.
It was unnecessary.
All the best things in life are unnecessary. So
well, if that's true.
A lot of the best things in life are unnecessary.
I mean, okay, I might have to give you that one.
Yes, exactly. So we had that plot where we have, of course, I'm going to save Dorothy and Niles till last. Cliff, you mentioned the daughter, Clara, showing up. Obviously that happened last episode, but he's all excited because we literally start their plot with him saying, and that's the stairs. You know, he's giving them the tour.
He's just so excited that she's there the whole episode. That is the only mood he has all episode.
Well, I loved it. Well, no, there's a bit of fear when he realizes that he's cooked the finger along with the sausages.
Sure, yeah, okay, there's like 3 or 4 seconds of that.
Yeah. Do you know, I've had bacon in pancakes. I've never had sausages in pancakes. I mean, I'm sure it would work, but it's never occurred to me to try.
I'm not big on these kind of pancakes at all. It's not for me.
What do you mean these kind of pancakes? What sort of pancakes do you like?
Well, I can do like crepes, like that sort of like, you know, really thin pancakes, like, you know, you do like with like sweet things on it. Savory ones like this, it's not really for me.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. Well, that's the best thing about pancakes and bacon, though, is that you have the syrup on the bacon. It's like sweet and savoury are colliding in this.
Yeah.
I thought it sounded bad, and then one day I was in a restaurant for breakfast, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. And what can I say? It worked out.
Honestly, I just don't like the actual fluffy pancakes at all. I just don't agree with them.
I will let the silence judge Connor on its own. There's no need for anything else here. At least that went quicker on the sub debate, like from 2 or 3 weeks ago. So
well, all I'm saying is, I could eat them. I'm just glad there's no finger.
Oh yes, everyone's glad there's no finger. My favorite moment with this, actually, even though there's obviously happiness at the end when he gets the wedding invite and he's like basically dancing and she sees how happy he is, and there's like a real moment of bonding. Although I'm already sure that he's got some end of the world thing is going to stop him from going to the wedding, and she's going to be pissed at him, and it's going to break my heart.
Niles' fault.
Yeah. Because everything's Niles' fault. My favorite moment, though, because I thought the whole getting married thing was going to be like a sore point, because his reaction when she first says that she's getting married, he immediately says, "Oh, great. Anyway, want to see my room?" And he kind of walks off. And there's a shot here as he walks off where he's completely in silhouette because of the lighting, and you just see the red eyes as he's walking in front of her, and she's sort of still back at the stairs. I thought that the shot was very poignant. And I thought it was going to like set up a whole thing where he's not ready to accept that she's this growing up. That wait, she's getting married. Like I'm already at that point when I've missed all this time, and it never actually quite went down that route. But I really like this moment on its own. It was kind of that.
He's so caught up in his own moment that he hasn't registered her thing yet.
Yeah, and then of course he brings it up when he's actually making the breakfast, and finds out that his daughter's gay, and is like, "Oh, a gay shotgun wedding. That's the thing." So. You know.
Yeah, he takes like 5 seconds to process it, and he's like, "Cool."
Yeah. So no, mostly delightful. I did like her reacting to his bedroom. Because there's no bed, but basically just being like, "What the f, dude?" As you pointed out, and he's like, "Oh, she says the thing. That's my thing."
I think that's just like this plot was really, really enjoyable to watch, just because we never see Cliff like this. We never see Cliff this happy.
Oh, yeah.
And not even just we've seen him happy, but this is excited.
But that
consistently.
That means that pain's coming soon, though. You can't.
Yeah,
when TV can't just
I
get
know.
this happy, it means that the pain is on the way and it's going to crush.
Yeah.
But another little detail that I really loved here is that Jane, in her plot, wants to come and get Cliff's help to go and do her mission, right, her thing. And I kind of like that she sees Clara's here and says, you know what, never mind. And I thought it was just a poignant little moment where there's a shot of her walking out of the room with Clara in the background, and it was like, oh, his real daughter's here, so I can't play the surrogate daughter card today, kind of moment.
And do you know what? I'm sure there was no trickery involved here, and she's always just been this height. But Jane has never seemed smaller as an actress until this shot here, where she looked really small.
It was this, and then when she's walking with Larry later, I was like,
she did look small there as well. But I think she always looks like that next to Larry. I'm just like, do you know what I think it is? I think I'm used to seeing her around people like that are taller than her and judging her height based off of that. This shot was though where she was just in the doorway. There was no one directly next to her to highlight, her actual height. She just looked small, and that was kind of unique. And I thought it was really interesting and just kind of okay. Now that's kind of how she was feeling there.
Yeah. So her whole thing is that Kay wants her stuffed. I can't remember the name of it but
it was Henry.
I'll take your word for it.
It was one of those.
But this was one that she dropped down the well. We see a flashback to her dad putting her in the well, and
yep.
We see another flashback later, of course, of a sort of a more preteen or early teen version of her as well. Although notably, that's Miranda at that point. It's not. It's not Kay. So it was hard not to get like flashbacks of the Ring of all things when they're in the well. Not that anything with the well is going to make me think of the Ring, but when she was going back down into it and looking for things, it was like, this is very the Ring right now.
Yeah, all the sludge.
Yeah, it's just mud now. There's no water. There was the whole thing. I will say that fluffy thing, in pretty good condition for being down there for what has been like 50 plus years. 60 plus years even, because there was a time stamp on when that flashback happened. It was like
64 or something like that.
It was the 50s.
Was it the 50s?
It was the 50s.
Both of them.
Well, no, the second one wasn't, but the one where she dropped it in the well, it was. I mean, I suppose you see it later. Which, if anything, the fact that it was in such good condition after being in the water that long was also equally
true
nonsense. But
I was going to say the second time I can justify a bit more because it's behind this rock. It's kind of sealed off.
Yeah, but that was years after. I mean, that was like, what, 6 years after the drop in the water?
Yeah. Maybe that mud is so shit that it preserved it.
All right.
I'll go with it. I got nothing for you.
I'll go with it. But Kay wants that. Miranda's not willing to get it, but Jane's like, no, I can prove my worth. I can prove that I am the best primary. I'll go and do what these others can, and I will get back that damn thing back. And she goes to get Larry's help, and Larry's having a little... There's not much of Larry's own plot. There's a little moment here at the start where he's getting up, he's not got his bandages on yet, and the negative spirits left out like the recording that he made with his son on the run-up to his accident.
Yeah, he's just a bit morose, this episode, is the word I'd use.
Because I thought they were going to do the thing where Jane saw what he was like and sort of changed her mind again and didn't ask him either. And maybe she was going to go around everyone. Because at this point, I don't think Rita and Cyborg had left yet. So no. I thought there was going to be like a thing where she went around every single person and ultimately had to do it on her own. But no, Larry does go with. She does ask for his help.
Of course he does. Because, I mean, to be fair, Cliff would have done as well if she had asked.
Yeah. Which is why it's kind of a sweet moment that she decides not to, give him that option.
Interrupt the moment, yeah.
She makes the choice not to ask him because he will do it. So they go along. I like the detail that the teleporter isn't willing to teleport actually to the well. Like, I'll go.
This is close as she'll go.
5 miles or whatever it is. I'll do 5 miles near it, but that's about it. That's all you get, and you're going to walk the rest of the way. I kind of like that. It reminded me of all things in the Lost World Jurassic Park when they're on the ferry going to the island, and the guy's like, I'm not going to wait at the shore. No, I'll wait out here. Like, he won't go near it.
That's such a strangely specific thing to recall from this.
I don't know why that popped out in my head, but it did. I was just thinking of Vince Vaughn go, the 5 deaths.
You sure? Yeah.
I don't know.
And it was this when they're walking here where you notice her height again, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. It wasn't so bad when we were in the field next to the well. I think it's just because they were just side by side walking down the road. It was just very kind of abundantly clear how tiny she was compared to Larry.
Yeah.
But she goes down there, to get a rope together. She goes down, she's trudging in the mud. And I'm glad that there was a second flashback to explain how it got behind the rock and stuff, because I was kind of like, wait, really? It got behind the rock? Because you see her find it in present day before we get the flashback explaining how it got there, because there's a note inside it and all that.
But it was because it was a proper like rock that it was put behind. There was never any doubt in my mind, at least, that it was put there.
It was intentional,
immediately because it was too specific of a hiding place to have just kind of floated in there. Because
I was starting to think as she was sort of like looking, because she landed in the bottom and went, it's not here. I'm like, wait, they're just going to be sitting there at the top of this mud? It could be like meters deep.
But she does start digging.
Yeah, I'm like, this is very much a needle in a haystack. Like, the chances of it still being down here and not, because it's a well with water. Like, it could have, went, through the water somewhere else. I don't know. Is that possible?
Sure. I mean, not unless you lift it out with a bucket, I don't think. But, I mean, what do I know? I'm not a well expert.
Neither am I. Well, I actually thought it was a bit strange that it sank in the first place. It looked like it was something that would just float. But it kind of did a little sinking thing.
Yeah, I guess that's the sort of mud that just sucks anything in.
I guess. I'll go with it.
Yeah. I don't really know.
I don't know. It's clear we're not experts.
It's just a dramatic license. Leave it be.
Yeah. Anyway, so she finds the thing, and we get the flashback of how Miranda planted it here and climbed out on her own, and this sort of gives Jane this newfound respect, even though Miranda seems shady, because we find out, of course, we mentioned that the Scarlet one disappeared, but there's been another one. Another one's went missing since last episode.
And she presents the idea that they haven't gone missing. They've moved on. They've fulfilled their usefulness. Kay is getting better and doesn't need them anymore. Yeah.
The personalities are converging because maybe we'll get to the point where the real Kay will just be, able to live and be herself. If that ever happens in the show, it'll be right at the end of the show.
I agree. I think it's a great concept of the idea, though, for Jane as a character.
Obviously, it's a lie. The big thing here is that Miranda immediately throws her in the well, and it's clear that Miranda's basically... Here's another pop culture reference here for you. Miranda is basically thinking she's Jet Li in the movie The One from the early 2000s. I feel like she's killing the other personalities because she wants to be the only personality. So she's not challenged for dominance.
Probably.
Yeah. At the end of that plot, Jane's in the well. Not the real well, the an underground well, the mystical well was actually just an endless pit of water.
Where people barring Miranda don't come back from.
Yeah, so curious to see how that's going to work, because obviously Jane's not gone. Right? Jane's going to somehow get out of this. But yeah, so no, it's solid stuff. We suspected that Miranda was shifty, was not to be trusted, and this was kind of the quick confirmation of that. They didn't drag it out too long, which I appreciate. So solid stuff. Does that leave us with Niles in that?
I think it does.
I think it does, because there was some pairings happening this episode, so there wasn't as many separate strands. Yeah. Obviously, we do have to mention, I suppose, before we get to the Niles stuff proper, can we talk about Willoughby with the council and the robes and the... Barnaby, I think it was, yeah.
Barnaby.
Yeah. Who's subtitled, of course, squeaking away.
Yeah. Was it a rabbit, maybe? I wasn't entirely clear.
Yeah, it was kind of rabbit-esque, but I don't know. I didn't really see the ears.
Do you know what it reminded me of? Like, very specifically.
Sweet and Sweet?
No, but I can see where you're coming from with that. No, this is Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There's the evil beast with the hand grenade in the caves, and it's just like a rabbit at the end. But it just, all of this, the costumes, the maybe rabbit there, all of it just remind me of that.
I want to give Timothy Dalton an award, because that man in this episode had to pull out, it wasn't the real packaging obviously, but he had to pull out essentially Reese's peanut butter cups and pretend to use two of those as a phone, and took it and dead serious the entire time, not a whiff of like humor in the whole thing. That takes talent.
Timothy Dalton is a national treasure.
That takes talent, is all I'm saying. He's literally holding a peanut butter cup to his ear and then another one to his mouth, and he's like, Willoughby, not now. I need till 6 p.m. I need to spend the day with my daughter. I need to say goodbye.
It's such a, and I think this is following up the cult with the rabbit scene.
Yes, yes.
Like it's like almost immediately after, I think. And
Yeah,
you're
'cause
like, just when you think, okay, you're thrown in the deep end of weird.
you hear the phone ringing, and he's looking, and he finds like it looks, it looks like a chocolate bar wrapping, right? And he rips it open, and the ringing gets louder, as if the phone's as like, oh, I was expecting to see a phone in there, right? As if it's just wrapped in to camouflage for some reason as a chocolate bar, and then it's just two peanut butter cups, and then he's like, "Well, I be."
I love how it's like, it's like really like old ancient style phone of the two pieces.
Yeah.
it's bizarre. I just, this is why I love this show, where it does shit like this
Do you know what I like?
and doesn't even address it.
What I like about it is something you put on there, is that it actually would be more obvious to take a more traditional candy bar, like a chocolate bar, right? Like a Snickers or something, because you could hold it in the style of a phone, like a modern mobile, right? You could have it up to your ear, like
on
so.
That, I saw a thing that, okay, if I said to you, make a phone sign with your hand, right?
Yeah,
you do the I do
that.
There's a thing now where apparently a lot of kids don't do that because that is not the shape of phones anymore. Because obviously they're unfamiliar with phones of that shape.
For the audio listeners, the sign that we're talking about here is where you stick out your pinky and your thumb as the receiver and the mouthpiece.
Honestly, I just assume most of our audience would have gone to that anyway. So what I was going to
we have some people who are like in their teens still, you know.
Oh no, I'm talking younger than that. Still,
right, okay.
is the people that this is affecting, where when their parents, have hit upon this somehow, because it'll be like when they're on the phone, and they're trying to talk to you. It's like, I'm on the phone, like, doing the hand signal. Kids don't get it. Some of them anyway, because to them a phone is just a flat palm now, like again a flat hand, like all fingers outstretched, because that's what a phone shape is now.
This reminds me of when season 3 of Stranger Things was on, and I saw a post on Reddit. Someone took a screen grab of a scene. I won't say what the scene is until I've said the thing, because it'll spoil what the joke's going to be here. But the caption was, "Hey, can anyone tell me what this red room that Jonathan is in for?" Like, it's in a dark room, of course.
Yes.
And to be fair, that says something that's kind of dated now, because
it hasn't been a thing for at least a decade, really.
Yeah,
you have to go to a specialty shop now to get anything developed.
Digital photography is kind of, largely overtaking. But hey, so to get back from that tangent.
But the chocolate phone, like I said, the thing I love about it is that it doesn't even address it. It's just this stupid shit that is utterly ridiculous to look at, treated just completely normally and unaddressed.
What I was getting at, talking about the two peanut butter cups, because they could have went for a traditional Snickers or something, because any sort of straight line bar would emulate a phone.
You can hold ear to mouth, it would work.
I love the touch that they said, no, let's go further with it. Let's have two separate things, like an old phone from like the 30s or the 20s, right? Let's do the old style thing. Being from the UK, the first thing I think of is actually the old boy from Only Fools and Horses, who insisted on having a phone like that, and he's flat despite the fact
because
that
because he was a knob.
Because he was a knob, yeah. Because he thought it made him feel posh or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, so I think the Niles Dorothy stuff is definitely the most interesting of this episode for sure. You have him wanting to spend this last perfect day with her, and he gives her some money to go into the store, and she's looking around. There's a little awkward moment where this other kid sees her and is like, "Oh, she's got a weird face,"
The moment that I think is important to touch on here is after she goes in, before we follow any of that, Willoughby shows up to Niles, and it talks about, or is this on the phone that he tells him?
This is on the phone.
It's on the phone, yeah. Where it's like, no, we, the Barnaby has spoken. Things are all coming to an end. If she matures, she becomes a woman, matures, whatever.
It was any more mature. It was
more mature, right? It was then. There's going to be no stopping it. I think that's it was like, okay, that's setting the stage really nicely.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't click to my head what that meant exactly.
Until the second it happened.
And I was like, oh, okay. Because she notices some blood and she runs into the bathroom, and she's all
terrified.
scared.
She doesn't understand.
Yeah, she doesn't understand. She's never been told. Niles,
in his infinite wisdom, never thought to
actually,
address.
I'm going to defend Niles a little bit here, because while you could critique him and say he never thought to teach his daughter about the menstrual cycle, right? That would be a fair critique of any normal father. In his defense, his daughter has been this age for like so long that when would he even expect this is going to happen?
No, okay. One, true, fair point, and two, to defend it even further, this was the point he was hoping would never happen, right?
Yeah, he thought he was going to snuff her before this happened. So
essentially, it's like, so no need to have that awkward conversation if we're just going to kill her anyway.
I mean, it's a dark way of thinking about it, but like, yeah. So, but she's really confused and she doesn't really know what's happening. She's all scared, and the woman who works here has kind of seen her run in and probably has seen the drip on the floor because there was some blood on the floor. Comes in and is, what did you call it? Your Aunt Flo. Aunt Flo comes to visit.
Have you not heard this before?
I think I have vaguely, but it's not something that like I recognized it when she said it, but.
Okay.
Is it really that bizarre that the phrase Aunt Flo is not mentioned to me that much growing up?
I mean, maybe, but it just, I don't know. It was one of those things that it's a way of saying it politely in company, I suppose, that it is, you're probably more likely
That's
to
not
hear
what
that
I'd say.
than some of them.
That's not what I'd say. I would say I would say my Crimson Dragon.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Come to visit.
Was it just me? This part of this plot, I was getting vibes of Carrie pretty strongly here.
Oh, sure, I could see that because that was obviously the big theme in Carrie was her adolescence leading to her losing her control. There's a lot of Carrie parallels with Dorothy when you think about it. So I mean, at least Dorothy doesn't get like an angry room full of teenagers throwing tampons at her. I mean, that's at least a slightly better experience.
Not yet.
Sure. Well, we'll see, I suppose, but I'm not expecting it next episode. But no, the woman's nice enough and sort of explains because she's scared and she's like, "Hey, this is something that'll happen every month," and
it's not so bad. You'll be all right.
Yeah. It's kind of brutally honest about it and says, "Yeah, it'll hurt a bit, but you'll take some aspirin. It's not going to be the end of the world." And Dorothy says, "Wait, does this mean I'm growing up now?" And the woman, obviously innocently, not realizing that the idea of Dorothy being grown up is apocalyptic, sort of says, "Well, in a manner of speaking, that's kind of." We refer to as being a woman now, is it, once you're at that point? Well,
yeah.
That's a couple of points you can use that phrase for, but it's one that's oftenly used for
and from that point, the conversation
commonly was the word I was looking for there. But
I tried to brush past it for you.
I might use that now. I like that. Oftenly.
Sure. Make it a thing. Own it.
Yeah. Often.
But what I was going to say is the woman kind of goes along that route now from this point in the conversation of kind of treating her like this, because when she's she gives her the pads and says, I'll go get you some clothes. Dorothy tries to push some money through the stall to pay her, and she's like, no, us women have to stick together, and very intentionally says women, and kind of is bringing her into that circle.
Yeah, no,
and she thinks obviously she's being nice and understanding, and doesn't maybe realize that maybe part of this is psychological to Dorothy. This stuff with the Kelman, maybe she knows on some level.
I also love that Niles, after he briefly notices that she's wearing different clothes, but Dorothy brushes past it and he never really questions it. Whereas if I was the father, I'd be like, no, explain to me, why are you wearing different clothes that aren't yours?
To be fair, this is a man who was just on peanut butter cup phone. So, I don't know. His barometer for weird is very different.
Yeah. It was kind of weird to me because, like, it was weird that the woman didn't want to talk to her father because she realizes this is your first time, right? And you're scared, you don't understand this. And she says, "Oh, we won't tell your father because some daddies want their little girls to never grow up." But I thought, no, if he's a single, I mean, okay, she doesn't know he's a single father, I suppose. Yeah. But if he's a single father, maybe saying, "Hey, by the way, your daughter is going to be doing this now," is probably a good bit of information.
Two things. One, he in a let's pretend there are normal people here.
Not normal single father daughter.
Yeah.
Arrangement.
He'd learn sooner or later, regardless whether or not she kind of outright told him. He'd figure it out eventually.
Yeah,
I would really hope.
Is she having to spend her
her allowance?
Allowance. That's the word I was looking for. I forgot what the word was for. Child wages. Her allowance. Is she going to have to pay either use some of that for her own sanitary products, or is she going to have to steal money from his wallet when he's not looking because she has to? It's like she's buying shady stuff in the black market. I can't let Dad know that I'm on my period. I need to steal money from his wallet.
Honestly, I assume the woman just, because she says, "Oh, is your mum here?" and she says, "No, my dad's outside."
True.
doesn't say that there is no mother or anything like that.
Yeah, that's
so
fair.
she just
That's fair.
assumes, her mother will be at home. She'll talk to her.
Yes. If I was a single dad, I would want the other adult to be, hey, your kid's going through this now. You probably should know.
No, I get that. But like I say, she probably has no idea. She goes, my dad's outside. As far as she knows, they're going home to the mother anyway.
Now, this is why I'm not a woman. But if I was,
this is what.
This is why.
Can't wait to hear this.
But if I was a woman, I would not hesitate to walk out the bathroom. You know how, like, sometimes, like, some guys will say really crude things about the shits they've just had?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I would walk out the bathroom and say, oh, Danny, it was like The Shining down there with those elevators.
I like how you think they don't.
Well, let's say it to us, damn it, and I want to hear it.
No, of course I don't say it to us, but I'm like, if I were a better man, which, I mean, I guess I am, I would put money on that they do.
Oh, betting man? I thought you said better man. I was like, no, you're not.
I mean, compared to you, I would say I am.
How dare you? How dare you? Okay, we're moving on. I've regretted my words and deeds. Okay? This is why us two should not be sitting here discussing the menstrual cycle, okay? And women's hygiene, right? We should not be talking about it because clearly we're just not mature enough to have that debate. Although, actually, you know what? I would argue that sitting here willing to crack jokes about it is far more mature than some people, or some men specifically, who can't talk about it at all. So, no, we can't talk about that. Ooh.
I've no problem discussing it, clearly. I mean, to be fair, I think we got through the majority of that conversation very properly.
Sure, yeah.
Like, there was no pussyfooting around. There was no, we just, intentional choice of words there.
Is that intentional?
Oh, yeah. Couldn't help myself. But we got through it. We had a proper discussion about the points of the events in the episode and the dramatic weight. And then we had some fun at the end.
In my defense, I will equally joke about dicks when the occasion arises.
What do you mean when the occasion arises? You do it all the time.
Yes, when the occasion arises, which is often.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, also, she spent that entire $20. She comes out with a bag full of shit. Because he says, get me some dark chocolate, because he's got a craving for dark chocolate. He's like, oh, and get yourself something, whatever you want. And she comes out with a bag full of stuff.
Look, it's her last day on Earth. He's not going to begrudge her anything.
She doesn't know that, though. The little chancer. She's like, I'm going to spend $1 on his dark chocolate, and then I'm going to spend 19 on all this crap.
Are you telling me you never did this as a child? When you were sent to the shops with, X amount, and they would bring back change, you went, well, I mean, as long as there's some change, I can get away with some extra bits.
I don't know. I don't remember how much I chanced it. I definitely never had a full bag of things that was like, I mean, a bag for the things we're in, sure, but stuff so that it's like, like the entire width of the bag was sort of stretching. No.
Well, see, what I would tend to do is let's say I was given 20 quid and going, go buy, milk and butter and, I don't know, something else. And I go, you bring back some change, obviously, but get something. But that's 3 quid, right? I go, okay, well that's 7 for me, and then there's another tenner. That's a full note there. They can have a full note back, and then I can just put as much as I can in my bag that I'd take with me. I'd take a backpack usually, and then the milk and butter can go in the carrier bag that the shop provides, and they can just have that and just don't need to question what I got.
Your parents are idiots. Right?
Oh, no, it's not like they didn't know. But it was just like, no, there was change. I was reasonable.
I'd be searching your bag, you little shit. I'd be policing that nonsense.
That is how you lose favour with your children, clearly.
If you're my children, I don't think I'm going to be that upset about that.
Touche.
So some parents are upset when their kids disown them, but I feel like
I've been there, done that. I'm good.
So anyway, so they're at the fairground because she sees the flyer, the poster for the fair, and she wants to go to the fairgrounds, and
which feels very circular with the circus, right? Being how she started this season. It's not exactly the same, but it's in the family.
It's kind of the kinder modern version of it, without the cruelty aspect. Very commercial, admittedly. It's all about making
assuming
money,
the carnies aren't treated like shit.
Well, yeah, presumably. But she's got it for the fun house. Why this fun? I mean, don't get me wrong. It's still made of like big, inflatable balls and whatnot. But I thought it was a very interesting design for something that wasn't themed horror to have all these eyeballs.
I agree. It was half funhouse, half haunted house.
Yeah.
Like what's the train ones that you used to have at fairs like this? It wasn't just haunted house. It was a specific like type of on the rail trains.
Yeah, and I went in them. That was always my favorite one because
Of course it was.
Because I like
you're
horror stuff.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was always the most interesting one. I don't know. I can't remember what the official name was, but she's in there and she keeps having visions of not her mum, but like a person from the tribe, from days gone by, saying that time is now, and the candle. Because at one point the candle maker even like chases her, like in her vision, when she's inside
it's
the
creepy
the
as
house.
shit.
And Niall starts coughing up blood as well, kind of suddenly. I had a thought in my head actually. I was like, yep, it's that point in every man's life, much later than a woman, where he just starts coughing up blood randomly. This is just normal. We all get there eventually. It's just much later in the cycle.
Yeah. I mean, he's delayed it as long as he could, but he's finally there.
Yeah. But he, she runs back out and he's like, wait, is something wrong? And then she's worried about him. Like, oh, let's do one last thing together. And they go in the wheel. And, it's all nice and happy. And she's trying to talk to him about things. But Willoughby eventually shows up.
He sent her off to get the world's biggest lolly.
They don't look that big.
No, they didn't.
I'm just going to put that
I've
there.
had bigger. Not a word. We have been crass enough this episode.
That's what she said. Okay.
Yeah, you deserve to choke for that.
How can I not say that's what she said to that? That's like...
To be fair, I nearly said it.
I mean,
if you didn't, I would have.
All right, that's review is deteriorated.
It's gone off the rails a little bit.
We're
Hasn't
almost at 40 minutes. How did we get at 40 minutes? This has been a lot of tangent and silly jokes, quite frankly.
It really has. All in the most serious part of the episode as well.
I know. So basically, it's like time's up because they see the melting of the thing above, and there's it can't be that time. And we see it's gotten dark, so clearly, we're getting to evening time here. We know it's 6 o'clock because the time's coming.
Willoughby's like, you stupid bastard! You just had to have one more day, didn't you?
Yeah. So we end off in this cliffhanger of the time is now. The candle maker's coming.
I think what's really interesting is this does, in many ways, feel like a penultimate episode to a season. Especially this plot.
It does to a point. I feel like... What was it? There was something in this episode that felt like it was setting up for whoever was coming afterwards. And I've forgotten what it was now. But there was a moment where I thought, oh, this is clearly the thing that was going to sort of develop more for the back chunk.
Something to do with Jane, maybe?
No, I think it was something to do with the candle maker. I was thinking it was something to do with maybe they would save Dorothy, but it sounded like the candle maker was going to just be an entity in the world, and that was going to be
quite possibly. But to be fair, that would still be a solid end of season thing to do. Is we saved Dorothy, but we didn't stop the threat.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see how they play it.
Maybe we'll be very disappointed. It's possible. But this gave me hope.
They will be astonishingly lucky if this feels like a fitting ending. But I wouldn't necessarily hold that against the show, though, and I hope that we still get to have whatever the last 4 tech, because they used some of the stuff that was in 10 and put it into 9, so...
Yeah.
I say 5, 6, last 6. But, maybe we'll see that just play out as this first chunk of Season 3 or whatever. We've theorised about this before, but hopefully it does.
I think this plot in particular feels like it's ramping up to an ending, and maybe not a complete ending, but like a natural breaking point at the very least. It's more the other plots where I feel a bit more concerned, shall we say. Yeah.
So, next episode is the final one that we have for now, at least. I mean, I assume that they're still going to, if and when they do come back, I suspect that they're not going to release a 6 or 5 episode thing and say this is the rest of season 2. I suspect that this is just always going to be season 2 now, and anything we get next will be season 3. So
it might, in some ways, make us more likely to get a season 3. In the sense that they've got leftover budget from this season that they can kind of funnel straight back towards season 3. So season 3, even if okay, we'll give it the full 15 again, like it was supposed to have, is essentially cheaper from their point of view, from HBO Max's point of view now.
Yeah, I mean, and in the sense, what they're really just are doing is 10 episodes, but you're getting the 5 that you didn't get before.
Yeah.
But it also means that they've already written, presumably, the first 5 of what the season would be, so that saves some time and money there. Yeah, so, I mean, they've got more of an incentive to put out a third season at least, in that sense. So, I mean, obviously, ideally, we'd be getting like a 20-episode season. Like, here's the 5 you didn't get, plus the new 15.
I mean,
I don't see it.
In a perfect world, yeah. I mean, in a perfect world, we would have like just 100 more episodes ordered, and be like, here you go.
This might run 5 or 6 seasons. You don't know.
No, it might, but just ordered outright.
I mean, that'd be good, but that's just not how it works usually.
No, I know, but I said that's why we're in a perfect world. But this is not that. This is a very temperamental world right now, and who knows what we will get. Yeah.
But no. I thought the stuff was handled quite well. I thought Dorothy's fear of being grown up and that tying into her, to put all the joking aside, like her actually taking this step and getting her first period is kind of it mirrors up so nicely with her fear of growing old, of her father's fear of growing old. It's this kind of signature point that it feels like her fear afterwards of like, oh no, it's too late now, you're grown up. Like now you don't get to pretend to be a kid anymore. Now you have to accept the responsibility of what's coming. Is kind of a very scary thought. So tying it into like the fear of adulthood and the fear of like losing your innocence is kind of it's kind of a notable thing.
And it's been a really strong journey throughout that, of how at the start she was incredibly childlike, right? But she's had more moments over the season. I'm thinking like the Danny episode where she was doing the makeup, trying to be a little bit older and more mature, but not really understanding it, and then here we are now where she's finally there.
It's that old thing of wanting to grow up when you're a kid. We want to grow up too fast, but then once you do actually grow up, you're like, oh shit, what have I done? Why have I done this? Not that anyone typically actually has done anything to grow up faster, because that's not possible, but you know what I'm getting at. So it's kind of a more literal take on that, I suppose. But again, not that she actually did anything to, this biological milestone she's hit, obviously, is nothing that's been brought on by her. This is purely just it's happening because it's happening. But
yeah,
so I mean, I don't know. Solid episode. Definitely more low key, I think, for me. I think this has been on such a great run of episodes that this one is really solid, and there's stuff in it that I really love. But man, they've been hitting out some real, like, the last couple of episodes were phenomenal. So
yeah, they were. I'm really excited for the last one though. I mean, excited for what it is, and also disappointed that I'm already at the last one.
Yeah. So here's hoping for season 3, and hoping for a good quasi finale. So we'll see. But yeah, you can let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. You can like and subscribe. Like is really important on YouTube. It lets the YouTube algorithm know that we're worth recommending out, and more people will find us. So if you want to support the show, it's the easy free way of doing so. Just click the button. But you can, of course, also support us over in patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month, and help keep all the content being produced and all that. So go and have a look and see if you're interested. You can follow us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?